You already know what an emperor penguin looks like. Tall, dignified, a little orange smear on the neck like a badge of office, standing very still in a snowstorm, looking noble about it. This is the animal that documentaries use when they want you to feel something. Swelling strings. Slow motion. A wide shot of thousands of black and white bodies pressed together against the dark. And it works, because from the outside, it looks like endurance. From the inside, it's closer to a hostage situation. The emperor penguin has built its entire existence around one decision, a decision so aggressively stupid that no other bird on Earth has copied it. And every miserable thing that follows, every frozen egg, every starved chick, every 500-meter dive into black water comes from that one choice. So let's walk through the year, step by step, and you can decide whether noble is really the word. Here's the choice. Every other Antarctic bird breeds in summer. Sun, open water, food within reach. The Adelie penguins go north as winter closes in. Almost everything alive on that continent leaves, or hibernates, or gets small and hides. The emperor penguin walks toward the winter. In late March and April, as the sea starts freezing over, emperors haul themselves out of the water and start marching inland across the new ice. Not to a nest, they don't build nests. To a patch of frozen seawater called fast ice, which is sea ice that's locked onto the coastline and hopefully won't move. That march can be over 100 kilometers. They cover it at roughly the speed of a slow human walk, and when the walking gets too expensive, they flop onto their bellies and toboggan. They're doing this in the dark. Antarctic winter means the sun doesn't come up. Temperatures at the colonies can sit around -40 and drop past -50. Katabatic winds, cold air pouring downhill off the ice sheet, can hit 200 kilometers an hour, and they are walking away from the only place they can eat. Every kilometer inland is a kilometer they'll have to walk back later, on a body that's running out. They arrive at the colony and start looking for a partner. There's a popular idea that penguins mate for life. Emperors mostly don't. Studies of pair fidelity have found only a small minority, on the order of 15%, end up with the same partner the following season. The reason isn't romantic betrayal. It's scheduling. They arrive at slightly different times, the window is brutally short, and if your partner from last year is 3 days late, waiting for them costs you the entire breeding season. So it's a scramble. Males call, females call, and the calls are genuinely strange, produced with two independent frequencies at once, essentially two voices layered on top of each other, which is how a bird finds one specific individual in a crowd of 10,000 identical birds in the dark. In some colonies, there are more males than females, which produces exactly what you'd expect. Fights. Chases. 2 or 3 males shoving each other over one bird while the clock runs. And the clock matters enormously, because everything downstream is timed to the ice. Pair up late, lay late, and your chick hits the water after the ice has already gone. Then the pair mates, and the female produces one egg. Not a clutch. One. Around 450 to 500 grams of egg, produced by a body that hasn't eaten in weeks. That egg is the entire year's reproductive output. There is no second attempt. Now comes the worst 30 seconds in vertebrate parenting. The female has to give the egg to the male. She's spent everything making it. She's now dangerously light and has to get back to the ocean before she starves. He's going to incubate it. The problem is that the egg has to move from her feet to his feet, across ice, at -40, without touching the ground. She rolls it forward. He shuffles over it and tucks it up into a fold of bare, blood-rich skin on his belly called the brood pouch, where it sits at around 35 degrees Celsius. A swing of 70 plus degrees across a few centimeters of feather. If they fumble it, if the egg slips and sits on the ice for even a short time, the embryo is finished. Cold kills it fast. They will not get another one. Both of them just spent months of walking and fasting on this transfer, and a significant number of pairs simply drop it. Then she leaves. She walks the whole 100-kilometer road back to open water, and he stands there holding it. This is where it stops being an inconvenience and starts being an ordeal. The male will now stand on the ice, in total darkness, in the coldest winter on the planet, holding an egg on his feet, without eating anything at all. Counting the courtship period before it, the whole fast can run around 115 to 120 days, roughly 4 months. He will lose a huge fraction of his body mass. Commonly cited figures run from about a third up to nearly half, burning through fat reserves that were something like 30% of his body weight when he arrived. He can't leave. If he leaves, the egg dies. The only thing standing between him and freezing solid is the huddle, and the huddle is the part everyone gets wrong. It is not a cozy circle of friends. It's thousands of birds packed at a density where individual movement becomes physically impossible. Researchers have compared it to a jammed material, grains locked together so tightly that nobody can move unless everybody moves. So they move as a wave. Every 30 to 60 seconds, a tiny step, a few centimeters, propagates through the entire mass. And over hours, that ripple slowly rotates birds from the freezing outer edge toward the middle. And the middle is not comfortable either. Interior huddle temperatures have been recorded up to around 37 degrees Celsius. So a bird wearing 4 layers of Antarctic-grade insulation on a starvation diet now has the opposite problem. It's overheating, and it has to work its way back out into the wind, freeze on the outside, cook on the inside, shuffle between the two for 4 months, on 0 calories in the dark. After around 65 days of incubation, the egg hatches. Ideally, the mother is back by now with a stomach full of fish. Often she isn't. Timing is approximate and the ocean is 100 kilometers away. So the father, who has eaten nothing for months, produces food anyway. He generates a secretion from his esophagus, sometimes called crop milk, rich in protein and fat, and feeds it to the chick. He is, at this point, converting the last of his own body into a meal. That buys the chick maybe a week or so, not more. If the female doesn't return in time, the outcome is not ambiguous. At some point, his reserves cross a threshold, his physiology overrides his behavior, and he abandons the chick on the ice and walks to the sea. That isn't cruelty, it's arithmetic. A dead adult produces 0 chicks forever. A living adult can try again next year. Meanwhile, the female has had her own version of hell, repeatedly diving under sea ice, in water near freezing, holding her breath for minutes at a time. Emperors are the deepest diving birds alive. The record dive is over 500 meters. And down there, in the dark, the leopard seals and orcas are waiting for exactly this traffic. A meaningful number of returning mothers simply never arrive. Here's the part that doesn't make the documentaries. When a female loses her chick, or arrives to find the egg failed, she doesn't always just leave. Sometimes she tries to take someone else's. Bereaved females have been observed attempting to steal chicks from other parents, occasionally with several birds converging on one chick at once. The hormonal drive to parent is still running with nothing to point at, and it usually ends badly. A kidnapped chick often gets dropped within days. The drive fades, the stolen chick isn't hers, and she abandons it somewhere in the colony, away from the parents who were actually feeding it, which means one failed nest can quietly take a second, functioning chick down with it. By about 7 weeks, the chick is too big to fit under a parent, and both adults need to be fishing full time. So the chicks are left in groups called creches, huddling with each other in grey fluff while the adults commute. The fluff is the problem. It's excellent insulation and completely useless in water, and it makes them slow, soft, and extremely visible. Southern giant petrels, big, heavy scavenging seabirds, patrol the colonies specifically for this. In some colonies, they've been recorded taking a substantial share of the chick cohort. Skuas work the edges for anything already dying, and weather alone does enormous damage. A single severe blizzard can bury or freeze large numbers of chicks in one night. Estimates of first-year survival vary a lot between colonies and years, but the classic figures are grim, on the order of only 20% of chicks reaching their first birthday, with some studies putting mortality above 90%. Other work splits it differently, roughly half surviving to the end of the breeding season, and about half of those surviving the following year. Whichever number you take, the shape is the same. Most of them don't make it. If a chick survives all of that, it molts into waterproof feathers around 5 months old, and then both parents stop coming. No goodbye. The adults just leave to feed and molt. The fledgling has never swum, never caught anything, never seen a leopard seal. It walks to the ice edge with the other survivors, and it goes in. That's the whole education. First swim, first hunt, first predator encounter, all on the same day, with no adult present, running on whatever fat is left from its last meal. So, why? Why would evolution build an animal that breeds in the worst conditions on Earth on 1 egg a year, with a 4-month fast in the middle of it? Because it was, until very recently, a spectacularly good trade. Breeding in winter means the chick fledges in summer, exactly when the sea ice breaks up and the southern ocean explodes with krill and fish. Every miserable step is timed backwards from that one payoff. The march, the fast, the crop milk, the crash. All of it exists so that a fledgling hits the water on the single best week of the year, and nothing else competes for the winter because nothing else is insane enough to try. The whole strategy rests on one assumption, that the fast ice will hold from April until the chicks are waterproof in December. That assumption is now failing. In 2022, in the Bellingshausen Sea, the ice went out early. Satellite analysis found that of 5 colonies examined, 4 almost certainly lost their entire chick cohort. Chicks that weren't waterproof yet, dumped into the ocean. Across the continent that year, roughly a third of known colonies were affected by low sea ice, and around 13 appear to have failed outright. It isn't a one-off. A 2025 satellite study covering about a third of the global population, the Antarctic Peninsula, Weddell and Bellingshausen sectors, found numbers down about 22% between 2009 and 2024. The previous continent-wide estimate had been around 9.5%. The observed decline is running ahead of what climate models projected, even under pessimistic warming scenarios, which means there are factors nobody has fully accounted for yet. Researchers are open that these estimates carry real uncertainty, and that one sector isn't the whole continent, but the direction is not in dispute. So here's the thing about the misery. The misery was never the problem. The fasting, the frozen handover, the huddle, the abandoned chicks, that was the solution. It was a machine, tuned over millions of years, that converted 4 months of suffering into a fledgling arriving at the ice edge on exactly the right day. The tragedy isn't that being an emperor penguin is hard, it's that they paid the full price up front. The march, the starvation, the dark, and the thing they were buying is melting. That's not endurance. That's a bill for a service that's being cancelled. Thanks for watching.